Just showered. Wet hair. Showered for this video. Hello warriors. This is a sequence of the video how the scapegoating happened. In this video I will focus more on the golden child, how this character is created, and how the dynamic of the scapegoating is consolidated and perpetuated throughout the years. So my brother, the golden child, was loud. He liked to put on a show, but he was never really punished as me. There was always this difference in punishment. I will always get a bigger punishment as him than him, so he would, behave less and less well. And he was never really punished. And especially when he became, I would say 10, 12, early teens, especially in that age, he made really popular friends in high school. That really consolidated him as the favorite one because my parents thrived on popularity and social status. We were raised in a private school. My parents didn't have a lot of money. They had some money, but like any other narcissist, they love to live above their means, to buy expensive clothes, etc., to show off, to show that they have money. But some people in our high school and school definitely had some money, and those were the people that my parents wanted to be close to. And this is also one of the functions of the golden child is to shine in the place of the parents, to be the person that the parents couldn't be. And that could be sports achievements, good grades, looks, or in this case of my brother, social status by proxy. So the function of the golden child is to become the projection of everything that the narcissistic parents wanted to be but couldn't be. And now they can be through him. So they can live this life that they always wanted to live through him. As I said in my previous video, the function of the scapegoat is to bear the sins, so to speak, of the emotionally fucked up family, to represent everything that the family doesn't want to face. This dynamic was perpetuated. For example, at the dinner table, my parents made fun of me, and the golden child was encouraged to do so. So the golden child also has this function of encouraging and perpetuating the dynamic. So I became, in a consequence of the abuse that I suffered, I was beaten, I was put down, I was screamed at, and I became more and more insecure. And my brother, on the other hand, became more and more extrovert and more confident, apparently. So he had this shell of self-confidence that he could show off. Why does the golden child participate in the abuse? Why? I remember that at a point my brother didn't need my parents to make fun of me. He would make it by himself, or he would start it by himself. Well, I think the first reason is because he's a child. He's a child, and I have one example that is really, really painful for me, but I will share, is that once my mother was beating me, and I saw him behind her back laughing and pointing at me. And this is crazy to say, maybe, but I don't believe that it was his fault totally. I don't believe that it was inherently bad, that he was at that point, he was a very young kid, inherently bad. I think this is a learned behavior. This is a thing that you learn to do. As a kid, your parents are gods to you. Your parents know everything. They're your reference. So if the gods tell you that the scapegoat has to be bullied and humiliated, you do everything they say. And also, there's also an implication that if you don't follow this game, if you don't go along with the bullying, then you'll be a bully yourself. And thirdly, I think this is also a very primal thing. As a child, you feel like your survival literally depends on your parents, like it did in the jungle times. So when we were cavemen, if our parents would abandon us, then we were fucked. We would die in the jungle eaten by leopards or tigers or something. And I think deep inside, a part of us still feels that. Of course, ideally, when you grow older, this will not be true anymore, because you grow a mind of your own and you start having your own thoughts. Unfortunately, in the case of my brother, this didn't really happen. He continued to have the same behaviors. He continued to bully me, to make fun of me, etc. throughout the years. Maybe in more sneaky ways, maybe not in such direct ways, but it continued. So I had no chance but to break contact, to go no contact with him, as with the rest of my abusive family. Another thing that perpetuated the abuse is the fact that, as a good scapegoat, I was a whistleblower. This is one of also the functions of the scapegoat, is to be the whistleblower, to tell on whatever shits are going on in the family, to say, hey, this is not okay, this is not okay. And of course, of course I was punished for that, and of course I was further, everyone was very uncomfortable by it, so I was further penalized by this. My brother, on the other hand, he was a sneaky people pleaser that learned to say everything my parents wanted to hear, so he gained more favors. So this was like just a roller coaster, and just a cycle, a vicious cycle that continued and continued and continued and continued and perpetuated. And I didn't realize that this dynamic existed until way, way longer in life, later in life. I believe that I was the glue that kept my parents together for 19 years, not for a good reason, but just because they had a common goal, was to talk about my problems, and therefore they didn't have to deal with theirs. Because as a scapegoat, you will start acting out at some point in your life. Some kids start doing drugs, some kids get into crime. I would just do normal, not so extreme things, like I would run away from home. I actually, not actually, one of them was a bit extreme, was that I developed bulimia when I was 14. That was pretty bad. But yeah, so I would listen to them talking at night about how much of a problem I was. So actually, I was their nightly topic of conversation. How fucked up is that? And my brother, on the other hand, also kept them together, because thanks to him, they could live the shallow, narcissistic life that they always wanted with all his popular friends. You shouldn't be jealous of the golden child, though, because this dynamic can fuck up his life even more sometimes than your life. I will do another video on this very soon, because this is the dynamic. This dynamic perpetuates in adult life, even for the golden child. For the scapegoat, yeah. If you're a scapegoat, you should really go to therapy right now, because you're probably starting to realize, when you learn about scapegoating, that you're acting on this role. You've been told that you had to follow a certain role for a very young age, so it's very deeply ingrained in you that you're a scapegoat, and you're acting on this role probably at work, with your friends, or in relationships. I know that I acted on the role and worked in friends and with friends. Only stopped doing that when I broke contact, actually, with my family. With therapy, it was very slow, but no contact really helped me, because all of a sudden I didn't have all these toxic relationships in my life. So I realized that I didn't need the other toxic relationships anymore. And but I still do. I still act on the role. So I'm still in therapy. It's a work in progress. It's hard to break the pattern, because it's very deeply ingrained within you. But with patience, little by little, I believe it can be done. Happy healings.